Michael Turner is the most important running back in Falcons history.
You are Locked On Falcons, your daily Atlanta Falcons podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, everyone, to another illustrious episode of the Locked On Falcons podcast, your daily Atlanta Falcons podcast, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. So, guys, if you don't know me, I'm your very humble host, Aaron Freeman, a.k.a. Mr. Drew, a.k.a. the Jolly Green Giant, a.k.a. Sirius Black, a.k.a. the iron that sharpens the iron, a.k.a. Mr. a.k.a. I'm your humble host of this illustrious podcast, covering the Falcons for a lifetime, formerly at falcfans.com, RIP, but I've come a long way since then. And all of you that have made that journey with me, I appreciate you, the everydayers that make this illustrious pod their first listen or first watch each and every day. And we come in every day. All you got to do is subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. So today's episode is another Falcons Historian Shootout, our summer-long series where we pit two contestants up against each other to answer trivia questions about a Falcons legendary player from the past 20 years. It's a, eventually a winner-take-all sort of trivia tournament. And today's contestants are Charles McDonald of Yahoo Sports and yours truly. And we'll be talking about today's legend, running back Michael the Burner Turner. Charles and myself will be expected to answer 5 questions to our best of our ability from my co-host, Allen Strk of the Falcoholic. And whoever has the most correct answers at the end, wins, moves on to the next round. And if there's a tie, they'll go into sudden death. But, that's basically the gist of it. We'll get into that conversation. Please let me know in the comments below how many correct answers you have from today's questions. So please comment that up below, as you also, give that like and subscribe, all that stuff and more. But without further ado, let's jump into Falcons Historian Player Shootout with Charles McDonald, myself, and Allen Strk right now.
What's up? Thanks for having me. I'm feeling pretty confident today. Talking about, one of the few truly bright spots in the past, Well, that's not true. Michael Turner was good. There's been a lot of good, but it just kind of feels like we just keep getting further and further away from when things were fun, and I needed to get back.
This is our third running back in this series. Chuck, would you say Turner's your all-time favorite Falcon running back, or do you have someone ahead of him?
All-time favorite? I don't know if he's like my all-time favorite, but I think he's the most important running back in Falcons history.
Elaborate.
The timing on when he came in, like that was turmoil. There wasn't a whole lot of good feels going into that 2008 season. Then there were questions about like, oh man, like we just drafted Matt Ryan, what's gonna, Michael Vick sitting in jail. This Michael Turner guy, he was a backup in San Diego, but what the hell's gonna go on here now? And then he immediately gave them an identity that made them a credible playoff team a year after they went 3-13 and set the stage for Matt Ryan to kind of ease into his role before he became the best Falcons quarterback ever. I think like the time he came in and the support he had and the role he played makes him like the most important running back in franchise history.
That seems fair.
Yeah, strong point.
Yeah.
How about you, Aaron? Would you say he's your favorite running back in franchise history?
I mean, he's part of my favorite backfield. Because he was hanging out with Obi back in the day. I'm trying to think.
I know Jamal's your guy.
I feel
let's
Warwick
take podcast allegiance is out of this.
I feel like Warwick Dunn is probably my favorite Falcons running back. No. Jamal is my favorite. I'm sorry, I forgot about Jamal.
Yeah, we'll see what Bijan does. But in terms of just like pure watching, I still think it's Warwick.
Yeah. And with Turner, like, because I remember being skeptical of Turner when the Falcons paid him all that money, because it was just like, all right, like he was a good backup, but like, what is he going to be for a starter? And especially as Charles mentioned, sort of with this team that's kind of starting over and with this new identity, and then like instantly, like it was like, oh, like he's going to be really good. And so like he didn't never look back for like the next 3-4 years. And I think you're right, Charles. Like he was like we one of the things I've talked about on the podcast was like we kind of mythologized Matt Ryan's early career because like his first pass was like a touchdown pass, and we just like pretend that like Matt Ryan like came out of the gates great, and like he was good. Don't get me wrong, he had one of the better rookie seasons in NFL history, but it wasn't as if like he was instantly like an elite quarterback. And like the identity of those Falcons teams was really built on the thighs and shoulders and elbows of Michael Turner during that time. And it was just like, we're just gonna out physical you. And like one of my memories, and I'm sure this will probably be an answer to one of the upcoming questions, but I just remember in like 2010 in that Saints game that went in overtime where they were like they just basically we're just gonna hand the ball off to Michael Turner like 20 straight times, and he's gonna lead us down the field, and we're gonna win this game purely off of his physicality. And like we just haven't really seen that type of football team in Atlanta for most of the last 10-15 years, but like that's what they were. And I think that game is one of the more sort of ones that sort of embodied that sort of physical mentality and physical identity that they had on offense.
Yeah, I would love to get that back, just like for the whole team, because you watch like the past 15 years, or let's call it the past 10 years. People forget, man, they were knocking the shit out of people. Like when they first got Turner, get big old Tyson Clabo on the right side. Simpler times, man. Simpler times.
Man, you want to mention the Saints. I love the 2009 Monday Night Football game, even though they lost. I don't know if you remember that, but I think Turner had a bit of a slow start to the 2009 season. But that Monday night game, he had averaged like almost 10 yards a carry. And there was one play where I think he got swallowed up in the hole, but he turned like a 1-yard loss into like a 23-yard gain where he just broke at least 4 or 5 tackles. And that Monday night game against the Saints, even though it was pretty forgettable, I think that was Matt Ryan's first ever 3 interception game. But it's just like those examples. Like I know 2008 was that phenomenal season everyone remembers, but there was a time period, 2009, before he got injured. He was running over everybody.
Yeah. 2009, I think you can make the case he was just as good as he was in 2008 when he like was second in the league or something like that in rushing.
And second MVP voting too.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I think you're right, Alan. Like before he got injured that year, like I think he was just as good. And because kind of Matt Ryan was kind of throwing a bunch of picks that year, it was kind of like you really needed Michael Turner to kind of carry the offense that year. And shout out to Jason Snelling for sort of stepping in, when the Falcons needed him late in that season. But like Turner, those first 3 years for Turner, I think really he was like, it was because to me, like when I think about Matt Ryan's time, like I think about like Matt Ryan really didn't like have to be asked to carry the offense. Like to me, the first game where he was asked to carry the offense was like that Ravens game in midway through 2010 where Roddy allegedly pushed off. Yeah, we'll see.
That was a really fun day.
But like like that was like the first game I think the Falcons, I think they won where Matt Ryan threw the ball like 50 times in that game. But like up until that point, like it was really Michael Turner's offense, I think, in a lot of ways.
In terms of his, I don't want to say it, I guess we could say decline. Chuck, did you notice in 2011, did you see signs that he was kind of starting to fade, or did everything just start crashing down in 2012?
Like I do remember it. To me, it felt like the back half of 2011. I was like, oh damn, it's over. It's probably we've seen the best of this. And for me at the time, that was before I knew anything about like running back into the ground or anything like that. And then you kind of look back, I think, with more of this, and you see, oh my God, they threw a huge workload at him those first couple of years. Like I think like the first few seasons, obviously not 2009 because he got hurt, but I think it was like 2008 and 2010 he led the league in carries. That adds up on you, and then he it's hard once you start taking the workload and you feel like how difficult and long the season then is, and then he gained some weight. It just never really came back. But the back half of 2011, where it's like, oh, they probably need to start thinking about what's next here.
Because Aaron, I remember back in the good old Falcon fan board days, there would be like I don't know, like Mike Turner's yards per carry are very inflated. Like he would have 2-3 yard carries, but then he'll have like a 38-yard run. Like I remember he did that against Philly on the Sunday night game. So I remember you were just pushing Sterling on like, guys, don't be fooled by yards per carry. Turner's declining, and unfortunately, you were right.
Yeah, I do remember that season pushing the Turners on the decline narrative, and I remember Alan, you being very argumentative about that because you were
fan's gonna be a fan, damn
it. But like and like that was what was crazy about 2011, where you look at the stats and you're just like, yeah, man, he was great that year. But then like you go and like watch the games, it is a lot of like 2 and 3 yard carries, and then he busts off a 40-yard run because he's Michael Turner, and like you would look at the stat sheets and it's like, oh, he averaged whatever that average is, and that's like for Locked On Falcons listeners, like they know I don't care about yards per carry or whatever, because it's like that season kind of taught me like it's a little misleading sometimes when you can bust some of those long runs. So I thought he was on the decline at that point in time, but the hope was that like he could still do some stuff the following year. That wasn't necessarily the case, but I think you got 3 excellent seasons from Michael Turner and then 1 solid season from him in 2011, and then 2012 was 2012.
Yeah. Hope he's doing all right. Hope his knees don't hurt. Too bad.
He was working for the team a bit. I don't know what happened. I actually met him in 2017. I was covering the Falcons-Patriots game. That awful, cloudy, foggy, whatever game you want. However you want to phrase it. It's just miserable experience. But, man, I saw Turner in the press box eating some good cookies. I had a munch on as well. And, man, I geeked out a little bit. And he would just tell me.
You got to.
Teams got to run the ball. They got to get Tevin involved. I was like, see, this man still wants to run the ball. If only Sark listened.
Wow, Tevin Coleman.
Unfortunately, to not make the cut for this tournament, Chuck.
Yeah.
We only put in so many running backs.
All right, I'm ready. I'm ready to win.
I think I'm ready too. Yeah, Turner, one of the legends, as we said, for the Falcons, and as Charles said, came at the right time. We needed him at that time, and certainly, is an important figure in Atlanta, even if his time in Atlanta wasn't as maybe long as some of these other players that we're be talking about in these Falcons Historian Shootout throughout the summer. But, speaking of Falcons Historian Shootout, let's get to the trivia portion of today's episode. And I think I'm up next. And Alan will be peppering me with Michael Turner questions, and we'll see if I'm in a good mood by the end of tonight. And we'll do that as we continue today's Locked On Falcons. So, guys, it is summertime and baseball is king, and the Braves seem to be getting back into their groove. And maybe you guys want to get back into the ballpark with Gametime. And with Gametime, you can shop flash deals where you can save on exclusive in-app purchases on select seats ahead of the game. Their all-in prices means what you see is what you get, which means you're not going to worry about hidden fees at checkout. And speaking of what you see is what you get, everybody loves the seat view in the Gametime app. That's my favorite feature, where you can pick that perfect spot in the ballpark where you can line up where you can catch that fly ball. And whether you're into baseball, other sports, comedy, music, theater, whatever event is near your, Gametime is taking the guesswork out of buying tickets. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. You can create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL, LOCKEDNOFL, can't spell, for $20 off. That will help, right? So you get your $20 off. Know how to spell that. Locked On NFL. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, Alan, throw them at me.
All right, time to do it. First question: which running back did Turner surpass in 2012 to become the franchise all-time leader in rushing touchdowns?
Oh God, William Andrews.
Incorrect. Gerald Riggs.
Oh,
Had to be one of those two.
I was gonna guess the same answer that you had, Aaron.
It was like I knew it was one of those two, but I was like, I thought Riggs had the yards and Andrews had the touchdowns, but dang it. All right.
Question 2: which wide receiver did Turner infamously throw in the air to block for him in a dominant Falcons primetime win in 2011?
It was Eric Weems. I believe that was against the Jaguars in Thursday Night Football.
Yeah. Hey, I had to get Eric Weems mentioned in there, knowing special teams matters for life.
Appreciate it.
I don't know why in my brain like that plays against the Steelers. I don't know why. 30, you know, getting old.
Welcome to the club, man. How long have you been? What are you, 6 weeks in?
3.
Start to age you, but
yeah.
Hey, 30 is the new 20, I guess. I don't know. Maybe if you're in New York. But question 3: which team did Turner score 4 touchdowns against in a game during his terrific 2008 season?
Panthers.
That's correct. Damn, one of his best games that season. I'll never forget. Question 4: who was the only running back to run for more yards than Turner in that 2008 season?
Oh God,
that's a good question.
Oh man, I'm gonna hate myself. Tomlinson.
Adrian Peterson. Come on.
Okay, but you have two options for that time range in the NFL. You get 2 options, right? He guessed one of them.
All right. What Thompson retired? What, 2010 or 11?
Ooh, I think 12. He played a couple years.
Oh, he played more couple. Okay, dang. I just that time I'm thinking Adrian Peterson. But
yeah, no, I got you. I completely forgot that Peterson was in the league at that point.
Oh, jeez. All right. Last question. Turner scored a touchdown in 5 consecutive games in the 2012 season. Name 3 of the opponents.
2012, 5 consecutive games.
Guy was still useful that season.
I got to name 3 of them.
Yeah, name 3 of them. There were a lot of good wins in that season.
2012. Panthers.
It's 1.
Saints.
It's 2.
Giants.
You got it.
Okay.
It was Cardinals, Bucks, Saints, Panthers, Giants. It was that late December stretch.
No full division sweep there.
Nice.
I couldn't remember who else we played that year, so I was just like, I know pretty much all the answers when Turner has a big game is against the Panthers. So that was my first game. It's like, I got to get that one right.
Hey, let's not forget that Cardinals game where Ryan threw 5 picks. That was one of them.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
Wow, I forgot about that one. So many memories, man. So many memories.
That game was just John Abraham beating Weber back left tackle there was, and Ryan throwing picks. That's all I remember.
And they still don't have a pass rusher.
Yeah, we couldn't get through a podcast. So.
No. I can't let him live. I mean, especially on the day that Arthur Blanken ducks himself into the Ring of Honor. No, he's got to hear it a little bit.
We had David Shealy go off yesterday on our pod. Chuck, you want to go off on Arthur Blank a little bit?
I don't want to go off on him, but I just think it's funny where, like, the video, or not the video, where people are like, "Oh my God, it's so touching." Like, come on, he owns a team. He owns a team. It's not as touching while he's alive. Okay,
it's weird. It's like okay, cool, man. Like
cool, man.
Like how am I supposed to react to this? Like, of course,
Arthur Blank said we got to give people their flowers while we're still here. Okay, so he gets inducted to the Ring of Honor, and then so people don't laugh at him too much. Oh, here's Matt Ryan. We're gonna do that too.
Yeah.
You know, Rich McVay's gonna somehow get himself involved, which I know everyone.
No. Let's not even joke about that. Let's. It's a bridge too far.
All right, 3 of 5, not bad. How you feeling?
The 50-50 questions, the Riggs, and like I'm gonna be kicking myself later probably on those, but we'll see. We'll see if Charles is, ready to mail it in and hand me my victory, but we'll see.
Probably.
So, guys, there's more to come on today's Locked On Falcons Historian Player Shootout, where Charles McDonald will go on the hot seat to answer questions about Michael Turner. So, guys, it is the summertime, which, as we mentioned earlier, is about baseball. NBA finals are over, but there's NHL, and there's all types of things that you can bet on over at FanDuel. And right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 to use on everything from, who's going to win the Stanley Cup finals and who's going to hit that, pitch out of the park. You can bet on the upcoming NFL season, Falcons over under win totals, Raheem Morris Coach of the Year, Kirk Cousins MVP odds, how many yards he's going to throw, how many touchdowns he's going to throw. Of course, you got the upcoming NBA draft. We're a week away from the NBA draft. Who the Hawks going to take number 1 overall? It's all available at FanDuel. All you got to do is visit FanDuel.com/lockedon, and you can win big this summer and add it to your summer bucket list. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook.
All right, let's get started up. All right, Chuck, Question 1. Michael Turner broke the franchise single-season rushing touchdown record in 2008 with 17. Which running back did he surpass to earn the top spot?
To earn the top spot?
Single
season rushing touchdowns? Was it Dunn?
No, Jamal Anderson.
I was going to guess Anderson or Dunn, and I was like, maybe Warwick had a year with Vic where they were just spamming and got some near the goal line or something.
Question 2. Which legendary linebacker did Turner blow up on a blitz pickup during a Falcons' impressive primetime win in 2020?
In 2020?
2010, sorry.
Ray Lewis, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, because I went to high school in Baltimore, so I had big bets on that game with my friends. And when Roddy did the alleged push-off thing, like we had bets where I was going to come to school every week in a different Ravens jersey, but Roddy saved my life. And my friends, they passed around a Michael Turner jersey for the week for when I was in 10th grade, 11th grade. 11th grade sounds right. Yeah,
that's a great story. See, we need more stories on this pod like that, Aaron.
Okay, sure.
We need more positive stories.
Anthony DM so you can come on the show more.
All right. Question 3. Turner had 2 200-yard games in his memorable first season in Atlanta. Name both opponents.
Well, one was the Lions, his first game.
That's correct.
In the second one, I know he had the 4 touchdown game against the Panthers, but he didn't have 200 yards in that game. 2008. Who was really? They used to beat the shit out of the Buccaneers. I'll guess Buccaneers.
It was the Rams, last game of the year.
Yeah, last game of the year. It was basically him versus Steven Jackson, future Falcon.
Oh yes, I do remember that.
They had like 500 yards combined or something like that. It was like no other offense other than those two guys.
The best part, I think that was a meaningless game. They already clinched the playoff spot, but Mike Smith, he just has to go out for a meaningless game.
Yeah,
he does.
Question 4. Michael Turner had 1 receiving touchdown his entire career. Who was the opponent?
1 receiving touchdown his entire career. Actually, I think I remember this. This was his last season, right? His last season. Because I had kind of because I was. This is when I was 2012 was when I was in college, so I was like kind of in and out more of the Falcon season because I was playing football that year. But I do remember I caught him catching a touchdown against the Panthers. I want to say 2012. I remember it was one of the games I went back and watched the recaps on when I was in school after one of the games we played.
That's correct. It was probably the slowest 60-yard touchdown you ever see, but it was amazing.
Okay, I don't remember being 60 yards, but I do remember him scoring a touchdown. Yeah.
It was the slowest dump off. I don't know what happened. Aaron, do you remember it?
I don't, but I did look up it earlier today, and I was like, well, again, every answer is against Panthers, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Chuck, this is it. You're 2 for 4. You get it here. We're going to sudden death. Who was the only running back to rush for more touchdowns than Turner in the 2008 season?
No one. He led the league in touchdowns.
No, there's one running back.
There was one running back who had more touchdowns than Turner in 2008 or 2008?
Yeah, 2008. There was only one.
Oh. Okay. I'm going to go with Daniel Tomlinson for this one because this might have been one of those years where this was the year he scored like 28, right? Or was that earlier than that?
I can't really give you advice, man. You got to either go with it or not.
I'll go with Daniel Tomlinson.
You're never going to get it. It's D'Angelo Williams.
Oh, that was when he and Jay Stu, when Jay Stu got drafted, and then D'Angelo was like, I need to start trying. And they both had like 1,000 yards. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Very random. I do not recall that at all, but he did.
For like 2 seasons, they were the best running back duo in football.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
I do not remember D'Angelo Williams scoring touchdowns like that.
No, because that was the year that was okay. Now it's coming back to me. D'Angelo had like 1,500 yards that year, right? And then Jay Stu had another 1,000. Yeah. Damn. I see. Like my memory is not as bad as I thought it was. I just need to be proud of it a little bit, but I'm okay with my performance tonight. I'm okay.
2 of 5, man. It's not bad. But Aaron, you going to the next round. How you feeling?
I feel good. because you asked an impossible question there at the end. So I'll take it.
I gotta make it difficult. I can't get layup.
You did.
Yeah, man.
You did.
I feel like D'Angelo Williams would totally. I mean, if Chuck really had to study to know this one, but kind of like the Adrian Peterson one.
I mean, Adrian Peterson is at least a little obvious. Like, no one remembers D'Angelo Williams. Not even Panthers fans remember D'Angelo Williams.
Oh, damn, that's harsh. Shit. You don't think they remember D'Angelo Williams?
It's like Deshaun Foster.
Oh, they know D'Angelo Williams weren't Deshaun Foster.
Well, Falcon fans remember Deshaun Foster because wasn't it that Chris Winkie game where Deshaun Foster went off in that week?
We're talking about positive stories before, and now you're so dark.
Chris
Anyway.
Winkie and Deshaun Foster. Oh my God.
You know how many Christmases that ruined? That was the Christmas Eve, man. Anyway, so Aaron, now we're gonna go figure out what's your next. What's the player in the second round? So you're gonna be going against Matt Chernoff in the second round. So we're gonna decide which player you can be quizzed on next. There's 2 players left. It's your Roddy White or Algie Crumpler. You got Roddy White.
Okay, all right.
The player I don't want to say despise the most, but you have a very complicated relationship with Roddy White.
No, I love Roddy the player. Roddy on Twitter was the player I had big issues with. Because Roddy would say some things like, "Hey, Roddy, can we edit these tweets before we hit send?" That's all I was saying.
No.
He's like Charles over on Twitter, basically.
Yeah, it's not as pure if you're thinking about it when you press send. You got to fire from the hip.
Chuck, you want to plug anything before we finish the episode?
Check out the work we're doing at Yahoo Sports. Follow me on Twitter at 4verts. Got the podcast, The Example List, a lot of writing. Just staring at the clock until it's time to start thinking about training camp and stuff again. So I'm gonna be potting a lot with football Twitter hero Nate Tice this fall. So definitely check that out. And I'm excited to release more info when we have some about it.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm feel that Yahoo got Tice. I think that's a great addition, and you both collaborating. It's good for all of us.
For sure, appreciate it.
Well, the problem is now, my weekly listen last year was with Nate Tice on the football show. Now I got to listen to the Exemplist every week to hear it.
Maybe we'll even have a different name this time. Who knows?
I got to listen to Charles, whatever nonsense he's talking about every week. Oh.
Come over, and since my podcast is corporate now, like I get like 50 bleeps per episode, but it's still a good time.
You gotta get his dad back on one of your best episodes ever.
Oh, I gotta get his dad back on. We're gonna get that thing back up and running. We got some good plans for it for the upcoming season.
I love when he talks about footwork. He just hates bad footwork when it comes to tackles.
Yeah, it's like when you see people who have their 10,000 hours in something, and like just the small stuff, the most minuscule stuff sends them taking. That's how Nate's dad is with offensive line play for sure.
Charles, really appreciate you joining us on this episode. I look forward to maybe some future conversations when football is actually back come July and August. Allen, anything you want to say before we duck out of here?
Nope, I'm all set.
Pray for all Falcons fans this year. Pray, because now we need to see something. Now we got a allegedly a decent quarterback again if his Achilles right. So just pray for all of us.
Hey man, leave that negativity aside, my guy.
I'm not. There's nothing wrong with Jesus, man. Kirk loves Jesus. We need some more help than he's been giving us. That's all I'm saying.
I just realized there's a lot of Falcons primetime games this year. Does that mean the Exemplist will be covering the Falcons more on a national level? Yeah,
for sure. I gotta say, I was a little surprised when you go from 0 to being on primetime 3 the first 5 weeks of the season. I don't know. Let's ease back into that.
Yeah,
I'm not ready for everyone else to start watching the Falcons again too.
No,
it's like just don't embarrass me. That's all. It's like
just don't embarrass me.
You win, just don't embarrass me. That's all.
Yeah, because like I'm gonna say the last thing I have is like it's been frustrating watching like the get the ball to London, Pitts, Bijan stuff for the past couple of years, but like no one was watching the games. Now people are tuning back in, and it's going to be brutal. So just brace yourselves.
So guys, that's going to do it for us here on today's episode. Tomorrow's episode, we will be doing our in-depth breakdown of Brandon Dorlus. I know it's long overdue. But we will get into what I thought of watching the film with Brandon Doris on tomorrow's episode. So make sure you tune in as your first listen, and make sure you get that episode. Make sure you subscribe, follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. And for your second listens, check out Locked On Sports Today, the free 24/7 streaming sports channel program for you each and every day to bring you the biggest stories, can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.